Today marks Donald Trump's first full day in office as the 47th president of the United States. He'll sit down with top lawmakers on the Republican side to discuss his legislative agenda. The president wasted no time in his White House return, signing a record number of executive actions and issuing pardons for almost all 1,500 defendants charged in connection with the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol.
Instead of worrying about political agendas, you don't have to worry about that at all. There's only one focus: defeating America's enemies. We're not going to be defeated. We're not going to be humiliated. We're only going to win, win, win.
All right, for more on this, I'm joined by CBS News Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes. Nancy, let's start with those January 6 pardons. Break down this executive order. What exactly does it do?
What it does, Vlad, is wipe the slate clean for virtually all of the 1,600 January 6 defendants. Those who are currently in jail will be getting out of jail if they haven't already. For example, there were two brothers who were just sentenced on Friday to 2.5 years in prison for assaulting police officers. They have already, as of last night, been released from the D.C. jail. There's this small handful of people, a little over a dozen, who were charged with seditious conspiracy, the ringleaders, essentially. Their sentences will be commuted. And so basically what you have here is a decision by President Trump that does not distinguish between those who were violent and those who were not. He's just giving a blanket pardon to everyone involved in what happened that day.
Of course, people shouldn't be surprised, Nancy. He had signaled this throughout the campaign season that he was going to do this. But the question I have is, what's the reaction from not people within his own party, but, for example, police officers, Capitol police officers, and the unions who represent them?
There's a lot of anger, as you can imagine. Michael Fanone, who has been outspoken throughout, he's a former D.C. police officer who was beaten on January 6th. He told CBS News last night that he felt betrayed and that the American people own this, in his words, for electing Trump. The family of Brian Sicknick, who also died in the days after January 6th, they put out a statement saying essentially that this makes a mockery of the U.S. justice system. There are Democrats who have called this obscene. There were Republicans, most notably the new Vice President of the United States, who said that there should be a dividing line and that perhaps those who were accused or convicted of violent acts should not be pardoned. The fact that President Trump did not end up making that distinction has not garnered any kind of reaction from them for the most part yet. You really get the feeling that they didn't want to be criticizing the new commander-in-chief in his first day on the job.
Well, so let's talk about the first day, Nancy, where we now know that some leaders from the GOP are expected to meet with the president later today at the White House. During that slew of executive actions, there was a lot of focus on some of the culture war stuff, renaming Mount McKinley, for example, or Denali back to Mount McKinley, the Gulf of Mexico brouhaha. But I suspect that these Republicans want to talk about, for example, ending the war in Ukraine, which the president said he would do on day one, or perhaps bringing down the price of groceries. How does that figure into some of these discussions?
Right. It's notable that you mentioned Denali, for example, because the state's two Republican senators, Dan Sullivan and Lisa Murkowski, have been against changing the name from Denali to Mount McKinley. And Murkowski put out a pretty harshly worded statement after President Trump made that announcement yesterday, saying that that to Alaskans, it is Denali, and it should stay that way. But nevertheless, according to the president, it is changing. As for the meeting with Republican leaders today, basically this is meant to sort of, all get on the same page. There are some really big things that President Trump and Republicans in Congress want to do right away that are going to require a great deal of coordination if they're going to get it across the finish line in a very closely divided Congress, most notably reinstating the Trump tax cuts, which are set to expire towards the end of this year. So they want to extend those. And they also want to pass legislation that has to do with energy in this country and expanding drilling. So there's a lot on their plate that they'll be talking about today.
And I know you'll be tracking it all for us. Nancy Cordes on a very cold day in Washington, D.C. Thank you, Nancy.
You got it.